Hello everyone, Diamond here. Hope you all had a good holiday. I welcome you guys to my 2,000 subscribers celebration video. And I would never thought I'd make it this far, and this is all thanks to you guys. You guys are awesome. For those unaware, the purpose of this video is that whenever I reach a milestone, I like to share a little story about myself for you guys to get to know me better. Before that, I made a voting poll on the community post on which story I'd like to share with you based on your choices. So I made them on 2 different social media platforms, and to my surprise, we did not reach a total consensus. So based on the comments I've been seeing, I decided to do 2 stories in one video. If you're wondering why I'm using gameplay footage, it's because I can, okay? Plus it's the holidays and I'm really pressed on time. First segment, why I have not gotten to anime anymore. Now people, don't take this the wrong way. I still enjoy the medium on occasions though, but personally it's not what it used to be for me. Remember, I even made a video about the Guyver series on how I got introduced to the world of anime that got me hooked. But let's fast forward on what changed on why I consume it less nowadays. It became overwhelming. I was in the era where the anime medium played on basic cable television in such weird time slots, like say the weekday mornings at 6 AM or during the Saturday morning cartoon block. You can probably say it's like a drip feed amount of content, getting them little by little. Then I discovered Toonami in my teenage years. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Where we got more selections of dubbed anime like G Gundam, Ronin Kenshin, and of course Dragon Ball. Then late night shows like Cowboy Bebop, Inuyasha, Full Metal Alchemist. Back in the day, you had to tune in for that specific show when it aired on television. And according to my experience, you could probably say it's the anticipation of waiting for something because there is like a gap between times in your schedule. So it created this fair balance in my early life. Then in around the mid-2000s, studios began to experiment more with digital animation and with cell animation. This allowed studios to pump out more content more frequently. A few years later, in the early 2010s, social media platforms boomed, and streaming became more common and more freely than ever, thus allowing people to access whatever they want, whenever they want. It was a unique method to make information more accessible for everyone, which is great. And I was like, oh cool, we got a huge library of anime to catch up on. Unfortunately, on my end, this was not the case. It was so bloated, with most of them appeared almost the same in most aspects. Like for example, I look at this elf mage and she looked almost exactly like this other one from a different anime. I was like, what the hell? So you gotta understand the saying is that art imitates life, but here, discovering all this new stuff, it was like art just imitates art. There was so much copy and paste, it looked so derivative. Observing this, I noticed it began to affect the quality of anime too. Now, I'm not talking about action sequences or fight scenes. Anime always up the ante with that. I gotta give them props for that alone. But what I'm talking about, like majority of anime in our modern times, is that the pacing, how things kept dragging, and there's so much monologue. There's also too many over explanations of certain topics that doesn't need words at all. You know, there's the visual part that can just explain it for you, but no, people want more dialogue. Slowly over time, I began to lose interest. Yeah, I know some of you guys are thinking, well, you're just talking about shonen anime. Surely there are other genres out there you can look for yourself. I'm like, yeah, true. A buddy of mine recommended me Berserk, which I fell in love with the series. Now, I'm not a huge hardcore fan or a big follower of it. And then that's when I started like turn things around with anime in general. Maybe I'm just like eating too much of it, you know what I mean? Like you gotta pick up certain ones. Because as I got older, I can't watch like 5 or 6 different types of anime shows a year. To me, that's just too much. Because at this age, I'm watching about like at least 1 or 2, and that's it. I know that sounds kind of like minimal compared to like most people nowadays. And plus, with streaming now available, it feels like this also conditioned our behavior and how we consume things as well. Binge watching, short attention span, digital media dependency, and the lack of empathy. Maybe it's just me, but I cannot fully blame anime for all of this. No, it's not their fault. They're just doing their own thing. Perhaps I'm just getting old because how technology and information have changed so much. You know, all this info dumping, how we can freely get whatever we want when we want, and it creates this wall right in front of us that socially disconnects us. Which I think is kind of ironic because the purpose of social media is to create networks with people to connect. I mean, that's how I felt now, and I think like anime just adds to it. Growing up with a multitude of hobbies and interests outside of anime, it's hard to keep track of what's going on nowadays. I enjoy pro wrestling, kaiju films, Power Rangers, comic books, and some parts of paleontology. Yes, I'm into dinosaurs. I am one of those kids who grew up liking dinosaurs, and also being a history buff, a film nerd, and video games, especially video games. And the thing is though, we just have too many hobbies and interests, it's hard to keep up with other things. And with the internet nowadays, especially with social media, everybody has to be in the know. Okay, now the second segment, and I know many of you are anticipating for this one. Just a warning, this is a bit more not safe for work, more adult oriented. And if you do not want to listen to this segment, I suggest you guys leave. More importantly, this little backstory is more personal to me. So the question I get asked all the time is, why do I love black women so much? As you can tell based on my channel, I do cover that a lot based on fictional characters like anime, cartoons, video games, and so on. The reason being is that it stems from my personal life, my real life experience. I know that it may not come to as a shock to some of you, but here's why. Back in the day, I was fresh out of high school. I was probably around 19 at that time, going to college part-time, and also have a part-time job. And I had this neighbor, a black woman. She's very tall, statuesque, curvy, slightly thick, dark caramel skin tone, wavy curly hair, and I think she like dyed her hair to like a certain like amber brown or something like that, or reddish brown, I'm not really sure. Anyways, she's a single mother in her early 40s. As for what happened to her man, they're not together, that's all I know, and she did not file child support. You know, that's how much of a good woman she is. It's crazy, it's wild, right? And she has an accent, a southern accent. I think she was from like between Louisiana or Mississippi. Anywho, she knew that I have a crush on her, a deep crush on her, because I was very attracted to her physically. And from the beginning, I thought she liked me too, but I was just being very naive because of her dialect. Where's she from? She kept saying sweetie, honey, baby, or cutie from time to time, you know, referring to me as that because I'm like way younger than her. But yeah, I thought she was flirting with me, but that's just how she talks. Let me get to it. So she was my neighbor. She's enjoyed the sunny weather in California, enjoying her time there. I come by after work or after school, just say hi, a little small talk here and there. But then over time, like a semester or two later, she was moving. I was like, oh no, you know, I really like this girl, you know, she was really cool. She was very talkative, made me feel warm and welcome. You know, that's that vibe she gave off. So I asked her what's going on, why did you decide to move out of Cali? If I remember correctly, she wanted to change her life for her daughter. She wanted to move out of state, she wanted to go back to her home state where she belonged for her girl. You know, I gotta respect that. So then I took a day off from work and decided to help her move. Pack her things, put them in boxes, here and there, back and forth. What sucks is that during that time, she didn't have any money to pay me to help her move and stuff like that. She bought me some pizza and a drink. You know, we wanted to say our goodbyes, but it was a very long goodbye. We talked for like an hour or so. The sun was setting, it was getting dark. In her front porch, or used to be front porch, of her house, she got a little close to me. She sat next to me. We started to mingle a little bit. And she got really comfortable with me. She was getting all touchy, feely with me, touching my shoulder, my arm, all that, giggling, laughing. Next thing you know, it was soon to be empty house over there. She had a single mattress. Gravity did its thing and she just let loose. And things went magical. I was not a young boy anymore. I became a man. Okay, that's stupid. Like an hour later from that intense experience, I was like, whoa. I became a different person after that. And the funny thing is, she knew I wanted it. She really did. An older lady, she could probably tell, and me as a 19-year-old boy, I was a horn dog, but I never showed it. I always had like self-control around her. But she knew somehow. She caught that. But like, I guess that was like her way of saying goodbye and a pleasant gift, a way of doing it. And so that kind of like changed my whole perspective on a lot of things and how I became hooked on with black women. I guess you'd probably know the saying, and it's gonna sound cringy to some of you younger people, once you go black, you never go back. You know that saying, but yeah, that's what really happened. So it was wild, and I would never forget that experience for the rest of my life. And it's funny because I still think about her from time to time. They say that you'll never forget your first. There's a saying, yeah, you'll never forget your first. Alright, thank you for making it at the end of the video. I appreciate you guys sticking around. Hitting this 2,000 subscriber milestone, I thought I would never reach to it by the end of the year. That is incredible. I could not done it without you guys. I want to give a shout out to a couple of people who helped me get here. Drake Powers, he's a big help to this channel, especially with his thumbnails, his animations, character models. And I'd like to thank Hollow Hove. I'm sorry if I butcher your name. Another great 3D artist who helped me with this channel. I use his content to create memes just for fun. Give big thanks to a couple of these users right here. Ray, Nero, this guy, Brandon, all these dudes. Ooh, almost forgot. I want to give a shout out to Lanif. He's also another big help to the channel. Good friend of mine, 3D artist. And also Rad Ranger, another 3D artist. Jeez, I kind of noticed I have a pattern making friends with 3D artists. Well, anyways, yeah, check out these guys. But yeah, you know, I'm looking back at this channel. I'm still going to keep going no matter what. What I'm going to do for next year, I don't know. That's the wild part. I don't know what I'm going to do for next year. It could be anything. I don't have nothing planned, no schedule yet. I'm still going to do what I'm going to do. I mentioned this many times before. YouTube is not a stable career, so I'm just going to use this as a fun hobby just to share my thoughts with y'all. That's the end of my story. I hope y'all enjoyed it or not. Thank you all for watching. Dine Mode out.